The present tense in English can be expressed in three ways, right? He walks. You can say he is walking and he does walk. Now we see that in English we hardly have any endings for the verbs. For example, when I say I walk, you walk. Okay? Then we walk. All of you then, but when it comes to the third person singular, he, she, or it, we say walks. Okay, but generally we see that there is no particular ending for the verb, and therefore in Latin we see that at the ending there will be a small change that will happen in the verb, and that will tell us whether it is the first person singular, first person plural, second person singular or plural, or third person singular or plural. Now, as we spoke last time, Latin is mostly mathematical in nature. So therefore, you have to remember the endings by heart. So generally, there are 4 conjugations in Latin. Okay, so you have ones ending with ARE. Okay, then you have the ERE endings, and you also have verbs ending in IRE. Okay, so any word which are familiar ending with ARE? Amare. Okay, so amare is ending with ARE, and this is the first conjugation. Now, when it comes to verbs ending with ERE, there are 3 divisions. Okay, so you have words like videre, which means to see. This belongs to the second conjugation. Then the third conjugation is divided into 2. You have third and third IO. Okay. Now the third conjugation you have ducere, which means to deed, and in the third IO you have capere, which means to seize. And then finally you have the fourth conjugation with words like sentire, ending in IRE, which means to feel. Okay, so this is basically how the conjugations in Latin are divided. You have 3 endings: ARE, ERE, and IRE. Now, another question which is commonly asked: Okay, ARE, if it is ending, we know it belongs to the first conjugation. IRE, we know it belongs to the fourth conjugation. Now, what happens about the ERE? Okay, it can be either second, it can be third or third IO. Well, the simple solution for this is some basic knowledge of the verbs. That means you have to know which verbs belong to second, third, and third IO. There is no other shortcut for this. You have to know, for example, tenere belongs to second, whereas you have something like ducere, which belongs to the third. Okay, so this will arrive slowly. So, in the first conjugation, the endings that we need to remember are okay, so these are the endings that we need to remember. First person singular O, second person singular S, third person singular T, first person singular plural mus, second person plural this, and third person plural nt. Now I shall show you how do we substitute this in the verb form. Okay, so let's take the word stare, which means to remain. Okay, so if I want to say I remain, so what we do is we know that it is supposed to end with O, right? First person singular I. So in Latin, what do you do is you take the infinitive as it is, and then I will remove for the first person singular, I remove the ARE. Okay, I remove that stem and I add O. So, okay, let's say I want to say you remain. So here I will when it comes to the second person singular, now I am only taking the RE out. Okay, so STAS, stars. Okay, similarly, he, she, it remains. I will take stare. I will remove the last RE and we get star. Next, we remain. Again, stare. I remove the last two RE and substitute it with mus. You all remain. Statis and they remain. would be so only for the first person singular we are taking out A R E. For the rest it is only the last two RE which is taken out and substituted with the endings. So therefore what is important is to remember these endings. Okay, these endings you should know by heart, because if you know this, you can substitute it for any verb. Any doubts with regard to this? Okay, so now I shall give you all a few verbs. We'll try to solve them, okay, by ourselves. Shall we begin? Okay, first person singular would be ortho. Second person singular, portas. Third person, porta. First person plural, portamus. Portatis. Porta. Everybody got this? Okay, let's take another word. Laudare, which means to praise. Okay, once again, let us conjugate it. Completed? Okay, the first one, first person singular, laudo, then he, she, it praises, lauda, then we praise, laudamus, you all praise, laudatis, and they praise laudam. So let's take an example. Let's learn some few verbs in Latin and their meanings. So properare means to hurry. Then you have edificare, which means to build or create. Edifice comes from this root. Then you have stare, which means to remain. Habitare, to inhabit. So habitat comes from the Latin root habitare. Then you have portare, which is to carry. Then you have cogitare, to think. Then you have optare, then you have excitare, to stir or excite. So excitement comes from excitare. Okay. The pronunciations are slightly different from the English that we are used to, because in Latin there are, even in Italian, the stress is on certain words. Then you have parere, then you have servare, which means to watch over or to guard. Then you have dare, which is an irregular verb, which means to give. Then you have puttare, which means to believe. To suppose. Then you have punyare, to fight. Okay, then nuntiare, to announce. Then you have rogare, to ask or invite. Okay, so these are a few of the verbs which belong to the first conjugation. Obviously, if you look in the dictionary, there are plenty more, but as of now, knowledge of these verbs is sufficient.